the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone and welcome to the next episode of the I Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek. With me is my co-host Dave. It's not going to be a very pleasant podcast this time, Dave, is it?
It's starting to become a feature now, Derek, isn't it? We're like, I can't remember the last time that we've actually had quite a few cheery podcasts in a row. You know, it's like rant and raving depression and then a few good results and then rant and raving depression again. And I've got a feeling that this is going to be the latter.
Yeah, well, that's what Rangers do to you. We've not had a good run of games for a wee while now. The games that we've got to cover, there's 3 games, 2 draws, and technically a draw, but it was an away defeat on penalties. So, yeah, without further ado, we'll go down the tunnel and onto the park. So the first game we've got to cover, Sunday the 22nd of February. It was a 2-each draw away against Livingston in the Premiership. This is where, well, arguably the worst of the results, because Livingston sitting plumb bottom, couldn't buy a win. They looked as if they were going to get that win, but Dave, you'll get into it. We've kind of snatched a draw. We could have got the victory at the end there if it wasn't for some dodgy refereeing.
I know. Yeah, it had a bit of everything, and it was sort of shades of Ross County a few years ago. You remember when Clement first came in? I hope it's not going to end up the same way as it did then. But Danny Rowe made 2 changes from the 4-2 victory against Hearts, with Tav and Gassama in for the injured Sterling, and Nadiri, who was in the bench, apparently didn't train all week due to a slight injury. So the starting 11 for this game was Butland in goal with a back four of Tavernier, Suter, Fernandez and Romans. In midfield, Raskin, Chukwueze, with Skov Olsen and Moore, and Gassama and Chermiti up front. I'm taking it was a Moore in behind Chermiti with Gassama and Olsen on the wings. On the bench was Kelly, Magoma, Jigga, Aarons, Diomande, Barami, Asgard, Nadiri and Majovski. So, you know, for about the first sort of 10 minutes, Rangers played quite well. 4 minutes on the left, good low cross from Romans into the box. Chermiti was there. He couldn't get control and get the shot away. It was cleared. That was a half chance. Corner in on the 6th minute. Played short to Moore at the edge of the box. He puts in a great cross to the back post. Romans with a header. Sensational save by the Livingston goalkeeper onto the post and cleared for another corner. Livingston goalkeeper had the game of his life, Derek. We've got to say that, although it was a poor result in the end. Livingston with a shot from outside the box. Thankfully, it was straight at Butland, but then out of the blue, Livingston take the lead. And it was an incredible goal, you've got to say, and I said it on the post-match reaction. This defender, I'll never hit a shot as sweet as this again in his life. I don't care what anyone says. It was a free kick in from the left. It was crossed to the back post, and there was the Livingston defender. It was like a curled shot right between Jack Butland and the defence. Rangers defence didn't cover themselves in glory, Derek, but the defender hits that on the volley as sweet as you like, and it rockets past Butland, who had absolutely no chance, into the back of the net to make it 1-0 to Livingston. Like I said, slack defending, but an incredible goal that the defender scored.
I mean, I can't really say much more than what you've just said, other than the fact that once again it was a needless free kick to give away as well, so can't take away the finish, but once again, Rangers' defence.
3 minutes later, free kick to Rangers, right at the edge of the box. Tav, he strikes it. The keeper, great save. It rebounds to Fernandez. He had time, I think, to take it under control. He tries to hit it first time, shoots, and it's over the bar. 30 minutes, Moore, he runs at the Livingston defence, gets to the edge of the box, shoots for the top corner. Sensational save again for the Livingston goalkeeper and out for a corner. You know, that's him pulled off 3 incredible saves already. 33rd minute shot by James Tavernier, just inside the box at an angle, but straight at the goalkeeper again. 40th minute, Rangers should be level. It's a corner right into the 6-yard box. And it was just like a sea of players. Raskin, he gets his shot blocked, falls back to Chermiti, again inside the 6-yard box. That's blocked, cleared down the line and away. And we're thinking at this stage, is it going to be one of these games for Rangers? It was, as it turned out. 41st minute, corner into Rangers. It's cleared. Livingston defender clearly, in my opinion, has both arms around John Souttar's neck. Don't know what you thought about that one, Derek. I thought it really should have had a second look. We were told that VAR did look at it. I certainly thought it looked like a foul to me, but absolutely nothing given, and play was allowed to go on. I don't know if you thought the same or different in that one, Derek.
Not just that one, there was several corners that were played in and other set pieces where there was clear grabbing going on in the box. Now, we got several penalties last year because of that, where VAR had checked it and people were claiming, oh, it shouldn't have been a penalty. But no, it was clear grabbing in the box and he was getting prevented from reaching the ball. So, yeah, baffling. I don't think anybody knows what the hell VAR is used for these days, what the hell constitutes a penalty or handball or an offside or anything. The rules are absolutely fucked this year, and it's all because of referees. They don't know what they're doing.
As I say, I thought it was a clear hold, and it wasn't like one of these shut pulls of his arms actually right round his neck, but nothing given. And half time, Rangers with plenty of possession. We'd had about 3 or 4 clear chances to score, apart from excellent goalkeeping and last-ditch defending. We were still 1-0 behind to that goal, so he made a sub. Skov Olsen came off. We'll get to him later, Derek. He's really not doing much for me at all. Big reputation, but I don't know. I've been just expecting a lot more from him. He came off. Majovski comes on. Danny Rule going for it, putting 2 strikers on. 50th minute, Chermiti down the left, onto Moore to Majovski. He shoots, he's heading into the top corner. Was it going to be like goal of the season, this one? But another incredible save by the Livy goalkeeper. And then another chance, Romans to the byline, cuts it back to Moore. He shoots in the 6-yard box. Great save by the Livy goalkeeper. And from there, Livingston get their second goal. Incredible, because it's a free kick to Livingston. They basically fire the ball right up to their player on the left-hand side of the box. He cuts in. It's a low shot past Butland. I don't know if we're expecting more from Butland. Certainly the cover from defence, I realise we're up front, but it all came from a free kick, so there are no excuses whatsoever when it comes to man marking. It just seemed to be incredibly easy for them to knock the ball down and play their player in on the left-hand side into the box, and it's just a low shot at an angle, fired past Butland into the back of the net. So again, Derek, just unforgiving defending by Rangers and shocking marking, and maybe even I thought Butland could have done a bit better in that one, but regardless, an absolute shocker of a goal to lose at the start of the second half.
I mean, as I said, that Livingston can't buy a win. They couldn't buy a goal before this game as well, and that's what was so amazing, is we always seem to do this. And like you said with the whole Ross County thing with Clermont as well, it's the exact same thing. We're allowing teams that should never be able to score against us, we're allowing them to waltz through our defence and score easy goals. It's just so pathetic. Yeah. And this is what's frustrating as well, because we had such a long period where we had tightened up defence. Is it any wonder that all the issues come when Souttar comes back into defence?
It's, me and you have had a lot of discussion about Souttar, both on the pod and off. You know that I quite like Souttar, but it's hard to defend the guy, because ever since he's came back, we have looked incredibly fragile at the back and prone to losing like really poor goals. So I'm starting to think that way myself. It's worrying. But getting back into the game, on the hour mark, Livingston were down to 10 men. They got a player sent off, and it was a great through ball from Fernandes to Gassama. Gassama through, heading towards into the box. He's clearly pulled down by the Livingston defender. He's the last defender there. The referee shows a red card, but there was a very lengthy VAR check for offside before that. But as I say, it stood. The guy was sent off, and Rangers were now playing against 10 men, but still 2-0 down at this stage. So we're thinking he really needs to go for it. And to be fair to Danny Rule, he did go for it. 64th minute, Chukwani off and the Deary on. So now having, 3 strikers up, and the stats at this stage were 74% possession, 10 shots on target, 36 touches in the Livingston box, and we still can't score, which is really worrying. 67th minute, Nadiri, the ball across the face of the box, Raskin shoots, again cleared off the line. A sub in the 72nd minute, Suter off, Asgard on, so defender off, midfielder on. 78th, Gassama off, Barami on. Raskin getting a bit frustrated. He's booked for dissent in the 80th minute, but just a minute after that, Rangers pull a goal back. It's an excellent strike, and it's our centre-half this time, Fernandes. The ball breaks to him just inside the box, and he absolutely smashes it past the goalkeeper. An absolute rocket. Great composure by him, Derek, and a great finish by the defender.
Yeah, a player that scores not only from headers but from great shots as well. He's really certainly becoming a talent, and apparently he's getting noticed from down south as well.
Yeah. As I say, we're basically going for it. We've got to. We can smell blood. Livingston down to 10 men. We're really trying to get this equaliser at least. Raskin with a shot in the outside the box in the 86 minutes straight at the goalkeeper. But then with 2 minutes to go, Rangers get the equaliser, and it's Tav on the edge of the box. And to be fair to him, puts in a very good cross. Mikey Moore gets the deftest to flicks with his head to steer it past the goalkeeper inside the box. Excellent. Never seen Moore score a header before, but he got in the right place at the right time, and it was a really good goal by Moore as well to set up a grandstand finish, Derek.
Snatching a draw here, and we think, could we go on and do it? Obviously, with Livingston down to 10 men as well, we think that we're going to make a comeback here.
Yep, and there was 9 minutes of injury time added on. 9 minutes of injury time. And the 4th minute of injury time was the biggest talking point of the game for me. And it was a ball played through to Mikey Moore, who gets free of the defender, heading towards the edge of the box. He's tackled and brought down. It shows the defender completely takes out Moore before the ball. It's a clear foul, Derek, a clear foul. We're all expecting the referee to point towards the spot. Nothing was given at that stage. Well, it goes to VAR. We're definitely, at least the defender gets sent off and we get a free kick at the edge of the box. Now, at the time, Derek, like I say, at the time, I was convinced that this was a penalty. Convinced. And the VAR decision went on and on and on, and then Livingston were allowed to play on. Nothing given whatsoever. One of the most astonishing decisions that I've seen in a long time. And I've said that a lot over the last couple of seasons. But it was a clear foul. It was at least a free kick on the edge of the box, if not a penalty. And I still cannot believe that we never got any kind of a decision there. Now, they've taken it back. They've done all the freeze frames and everything to try and show us that it wasn't a penalty.
I don't think we've even been given a clear indication of why it was not given. The whole point is the referee gave nothing at the time, and they allowed VAR to stop the play and make a decision, which is completely wrong because the referee has shat it and he's just relied on VAR, which has been a big issue of VAR all the time. The referees are scared to make decisions on the field because they know that VAR will pick it up. So in this case, the referee has completely fucked up. He's allowed VAR to check whether it's a penalty or not. For me, he's hit him twice. Yes, it's started outside the first instance, and then it's continued in the box. Now, there was a big issue about, well, it doesn't count because it's only a pull or a push if it continues inside the box. But the point is, he's actually clipped him twice, once outside the box and once inside the box. So there is 2 fouls separately in the same instant there. And then for the referee not to give it, he's allowed VAR then to review it. Again, I don't know the reason why they've not given anything. It still hasn't been cleared that. And because the referee hasn't done any action, he's allowed it to be a goal kick to Livingston rather than a drop ball, which is bizarre as well. So the referee's indecision there stopped us getting a free kick and another red card for Livingston. It's absolutely deplorable. It really is, Dave.
I'll tell you what will happen. There will be this clown show of a review that Willie Collum gives. There will be a scattergun explanation given. And because of light of everything else that's been going on compared to the last game, it'll be brushed completely under the carpet. I don't think that they'll admit that there's been a mistake there. It'll be put down to perception, and basically we've been shafted big time. And I could guarantee you, and I hate sounding like a bitter supporter, if that was against a certain other team, that would have been a penalty kick in the 94th minute for them to go on and win it. And we all laughed at John Brown in the comments that he made, but I'm telling you, Derek, there's a lot of justification. And the more and more these decisions that go against us, the justification is rising and rising for what he said. It was just absolutely deplorable that we didn't even get the foul outside the box there. Shocking.
And not only that, because it taken so long for VAR to make checks to give us nothing in the end, it's completely spoiled the momentum. And not only that, I think it was about 5 minutes it went into added time. They only give us an extra 2 minutes out of it, so it wasted time as well.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely just a complete dereliction on duty. Or it's just their basic incompetence, or it's, as you or John Brown said, it's corruption.
At the end of the day, Derek, a very poor result. We had more than enough opportunities to win the game outright. We can't be putting it down to that one decision, even although it was absolutely deplorable, because we did have enough chances to win that game, enough possession, enough touches inside the opposition box. It just came down to poor finishing in the end and incredible goalkeeping by the Livingston goalkeeper and poor defending by us. So a bad result all round for us.
That was ultimately shocking, Dave. As I said, we're in the race for a title here, and for a team that can't buy a win, can't buy a goal, they managed to go 2-0 up against us. Yes, we created chances. Their keeper had an amazing game. Shouldn't matter, Dave. We should have more than enough to overturn, especially when they went down to 10 men as well. It's not good enough at all.
Yep, 100%.
So it left us going into the next game, desperate for points, on Sunday, the 1st of March. It was a 2-each draw at home against Celtic in the Premiership. Dave, how can we be so good in the first half and so poor in the second?
First half, Derek, I will say probably one of the best performances that I've seen a Rangers team play since the heydays of Walter Smith and Dick Advocaat. That's how good we were in the first half. Second half, a complete and utter collapse. The team that Danny Rule put out for this game, and it was very bold, and it certainly paid off in the first half with 2 changes from that Livingston game, with Sterling and Nadiri coming back into the starting 11, Tav and Gassama out. So it was Butland in goal with a back four of Sterling, Suter, Fernandes and Romans, Chukwueze and Raskin in midfield, Moore and Skov Olsen on the wings with Chermiti and Nadiri up front. On the bench, Kelly, Magoma, Jiga, Tavernier, Asgard, Barami, Gassama, Diomande and Majovski. So going for a sort of, everybody was saying it was a sort of 4-2-2-2 formation rather than a 4-4-2. Whatever you want to say, it was a very forward-thinking team. And from the first kick in the first half, we absolutely pummeled Celtic, and we had an early opportunity in the first minute. A great ball by Moore over to Chukwueze into the box on the left-hand side to the byline. It's crossed, picked off by the Celtic goalkeeper. That was a great early chance for us. 6 minutes, short corner from Moore to Skov Olsen. Back to Moore at the front post. There's Raskin with a flick, saved. The flag goes up for offside. I thought he had scored at that point. But then on the 8th minute, this is one of these goals that we will look back on years to come. It's an absolutely sensational goal by Yusuf Chermiti. Rangers play the ball edge of the box, eventually to Skov Olsen on the right-hand side. He gets forward towards the byline on the right-hand side and floats an incredible cross into just sort of outside the 6-yard box to Chermiti, who has his back to goal, and he just jumps and hits the most perfect overhead kick and smashes the ball into the back of the net. Absolutely sensational. Ibrox goes wild. What a goal, Derek.
I was watching this on an iPad, and I don't know if it was the fact that the screen was that wee or it was just an incredible goal, maybe a bit of both. But me and my dad couldn't believe what had just happened there. What a goal. We had to watch the replay just to understand what had happened between the cross and then the overhead kick. Just, it was sublime.
Incredible goal. And he could have had his second 3 minutes later because they couldn't handle Chermiti or Moore at this stage. Moore really in the mood. He bursts it into the box, the left-hand side, beats his man easily, crosses it to the back post. Chermiti is at a total tight angle, but blasts a shot. It sort of hits the post on the opposite side and goes out for a goal kick. Really, really unlucky there. But it was just all Rangers for the next sort of 15 minutes. Celtic couldn't get out their own half. And on the 25th minute, we make it 2-0. And it's Raskin on the left-hand side with a cross in. Celtic can't clear it. Comes to the back post. The Celtic defender tries to hit it away. He sclaffs his shot. It falls for Chermiti, and this again, an incredible goal because he steals the ball from behind the Celtic defender, puts the ball in front of him and manages to get round the other side of the Celtic defender and sort of curls the ball past the oncoming goalkeeper into the back of the net. Absolutely sensational again, Derek. That finish, top drawer, but for him to even have the instinct to do something like that, another fantastic goal. And if it wasn't for how spectacular his first goal was, this goal was right up there as well. A sensational goal, 2-0 to Rangers, and we are absolutely battering them at this stage.
I think he's now becoming the poster boy of the fact that we should not be judging players in their first 3 or 4 months. I think it's quite clear the boy has got talent. I mean, that was a sublime goal. The first one was this was arguably better than the first one. The first one was all about just a single overhead kick. This was about technique and vision, and he had that in spades in this one. Just unbelievable. And I think we are all guilty of, we paid £8 million up to £10 million for him. He needs to be scoring 5 goals every game. It's never going to work like that. And I think we're seeing with Miovski, just because you're a good player with another team doesn't mean it's going to work out with us, because we come up against different sides every single week who pack the boxes, play differently against us than they do against any other team. So sometimes you've got to just maybe give it a wee bit of patience. But that goal was outstanding, Dave.
It was incredible. He's a bit of an enigma, Derek. I think there's certain games that he looks as if he can't do anything, and then other games he just looks absolutely sensational. And up to this stage at that goal, he looked sensational. And like I said, it was all Rangers. 33rd minute, Moore on the right-hand side, incredible ball into the back post. Again, scrambled away by the Celtic defence, just couldn't get in there. Free kick to Rangers on the right in the 40th minute, swung in. Fernandes with a header, inches past the post. I thought he had scored. It wasn't to be. We were all over them. If that goal had went in there, it was good night for Celtic, 100%. It gets to half-time. Like I say, we completely dominated. Celtic couldn't handle our press. They couldn't handle the tempo of the game. They couldn't get near Mikey Moore. They tried everything in the first half. They was getting pushed about. He got thumped within the first 5 minutes by their right back. He got up. He seemed to rise to the occasion, especially in the first half. And he was just excellent. But we couldn't get that third goal. And we, even at the start of the second half, we had a glorious chance to score. And it was Moore again with a tremendous ball to the back post, crossed in the vision that the young guy had. Incredible. He saw Romans making the late run. And Romans, I think he had time to take the ball down and take a touch, but he tried to hit it first time. It ended up a weak shot straight at the goalkeeper. That was a glorious chance. And then it seemed to be from about the 55th minute that Celtic grew in confidence, and they did change it. They knew they were getting overrun. They knew they had to change it. They made a few substitutions to come back in, fresh legs, and it worked for them. But we gave the ball away cheaply in midfield. I actually think it was Chermiti on the 55th minute. He tried a back heel in the middle of the park when he had other options on, and we gave Celtic the ball, and they broke and went right in to the edge of your box and hit a shot. And it was a great save by Butland and out for the corner. And from there, they seem to have really grown confidence, and we seem to just completely lose it. Because in the 56th minute, Celtic pulled a goal back. And again, we spoke about him before, John Souttar, he just didn't cover himself in glory here at all. And it was just a nothing cross into the Rangers box. And there is Celtic's left back, Kieran Tierney, in the middle of your defenders, and nobody goes near him. And he manages to jump, but it wasn't even that high, Derek. It wasn't like he got above everybody and, hammered the header home. It was a sort of, he got up, he got a header on target, he was allowed to do it, and the ball ended up in the back of the net. And again, it wasn't a bullet header past Butland, but the defending was absolutely atrocious to allow him to get in there and get the header, and he guided it past Butland, and it got Celtic back in the game. And from absolutely nothing, they had a lifeline.
Story of the season, just absolutely shocking defending. And at half-time, you would have thought that there was only one team that was going to win this, and it looked as if we were going to go 3-4 up rather than Celtic pulling a goal back. But the big change, Celtic made changes, but we sat back, and we sat back from about the 50th minute. And this is the problem. We've proven against Motherwell, when they were down to 10 men, we sat back for the last 20 minutes and we couldn't hold on because we don't have the quality in the squad. So Danny Rule has got a lot of things right, but this is the one thing he's got 100% wrong in several games now, where he's sat back at the wrong time. We just do not have the players to do it, especially not against Celtic with 40 minutes still to go. It was a ridiculous decision from Rule.
Well, you've took the words out of my mouth, because that's what I've got. 61st minute, we are sitting off Celtic and inviting them to get the ball and put pressure, and they had a cross into the box, and Maeda had a header, thankfully straight at Butland. And at this time, I'm saying to myself, we're playing a long ball. Now, it did work in the first half, and I'm saying the long ball, which sounds bad, but there was accuracy in it. We were basically getting the ball forward as quickly as we possibly could, but our strikers and wingers were right up for that at that stage, and that's where the pressure was coming on. That's where we were getting joy. We were battering them, but it wasn't the same ferocity as the first half. And I thought, we really need to change tactics here, and we really need to get an extra midfielder on. And he did on the 63rd minute, Diomande coming on and Nadiri going off. But we kept playing the same way. We kept playing, trying to do the same things. As soon as Butland got the ball, he was like firing it up. And because we didn't have two strikers up front, Celtic were easily getting the second ball when it wasn't falling for us. So that the actual change in tactics, although he changed the personnel, it just didn't change enough for us to try and get a foothold back in the game. And it, just like what you said there, Derek, he's had a lot of things right, Rule, but this was, you could just see how this was going, because we weren't getting any joy from the way we were playing. 73rd minute, Gassama comes on, Skov Olsen goes off, and again, Skov Olsen, he set up that wonder goal for Chermiti in the first half, but really for me, did very little else in that game for us. 77th minute, Rangers all over the place. Celtic break into the box, thankfully hit a weak shot straight at Butland. And then in the 86th minute, this is where I actually thought that we could be getting away with this one and getting a victory, but it wasn't to be, because it was a sensational save by Jack Butland, a cross in from Celtic from the wing, a bullet header, and a sensational save by Butland at point blank. But the VAR check comes in, and the ball, you can see when it comes in, skiffs off Sterling's arm on the way to going towards Jack Butland to make that save. The VAR ruled in favour of Celtic that it was a handball, and a penalty was given to Celtic. What did you make of the decision itself, Derek?
For me, this is not a penalty, not because I don't like the handball rule, which I don't, because they've completely changed it once again, because there was a certain thing called the proximity rule that was involved in it. It was at point blank range, the header that came off Sterling's arm. He had no time to react. He was jumping.
Nope.
His hand was technically in a natural position as he was jumping. Yes, it was outstretched. Yes, it hit his arm, hand, whatever you want to call it. But these two things, it was in a natural position for you jumping, which he was already jumping when the header got hit. It's not as if he moved his arm in that position, and the proximity rule. For me, there is no way in hell that is a penalty.
It was incredibly harsh, as you say, and like I said before, it was a header, point-blank header, which sort of came off him, and Butland made an incredible save. But again, as soon as it went and they showed you in VAR, Derek, I just knew straight away that they were going to get awarded the penalty, and they did. But you know, it was like a given that was going to happen, and they did score, but not for the actions of Jack Butland, who not once but twice saved. He saved the penalty initially, he saved the rebound, and then they bundled it in on the third attempt. Now, this is where my issue again goes with the Rangers defence, because it didn't look as if we had anybody following that ball in, Derek, to do everything they could to clear that, because Butland has got a great record this season at saving penalties. But the fact he saved it and saved the rebound, surely there must have been enough time for our defenders to get back and throw themselves on that goal line. I couldn't see any Rangers defenders there at all when they tapped it in at the third time. And they had two players ready to pounce on the ball to score it a third time. So again, I think our defence has seriously let Jack Butland down there, and Celtic get the equaliser, which looked absolutely impossible in the first half because of really poor play by us. They were back in this game at the end in what felt more like a defeat than a draw at that stage.
I mean, that defending at the penalty is inexcusable. See, for a rebound, you can understand defenders not getting there because the penalty taker is further forward. But for him to get a third bite of the cherry and also a second Celtic attacker following up before our players are even there is absolutely disgraceful, and heads should have rolled for that. It really should have.
Yep. That's how the game finished, Derek. Like I say, it felt like a defeat to me personally. I think everybody else felt the same way. How well we played in the first half was really fantastic. But then, you know, the complete flip to how it was an utter collapse in the second half to allow them to come back into the game, just totally inexcusable.
Yeah. So, after another bad result, we had to pick our tails up again because we were playing against Celtic on Sunday the 8th of March at home in the Scottish Cup quarter-final, and we drew the game 0 each, into extra time 0 each, and we lost 4-2 in penalties. It really was an absolutely abysmal game from both teams. We were certainly the better team in both of them. We had all the shots on target. Celtic had no shots on target in the full 120 minutes, which is absolutely atrocious from them. As a spectacle, it was not a spectacle at all. And the penalties we'll get into. But we lined up with Butland, Sterling, Jigger, Fernandez, Romans, Raskin, Diamande, Skov Olsen, Moore, Nadiri and Chermiti. On the subs bench we had Kelly, Magoma, Suter, Tavernier, Chukwuane, Barami, Kasama, Asgard and Miovski. So probably the best squad we could have put out there. Very interesting that Suter was dropped for Jigga as well. Suter, as we've said, has been a bomb scare since he's came back, and he needed to be taken out the firing line as well. No Tavernier also, so the captaincy was put on Butland for that one there. So before the game even kicked off, bit of controversy because Celtic fans were claiming they were going to free the broom lawn and they were taking over the broom lawn. They got 7,500 allocation, so it was the old allocation as you know it, and they said they were going to take over the singing of the Simply the Best. Well, Rangers got one up in them as well because we ended up playing the full version, Dave, including add-ons from the fans, which videos from the Celtic end can clearly hear Celtic fans singing the add-ons as well. Bizarre, Dave. Really bizarre.
Yeah, really bizarre. All we've heard ever since the game finished and ever since all the scenes is deflection from certain people in the media with regards to the add-ons and stuff like that. I'm not going to comment on the rights and wrongs of these things, but to hear the Celtic fans very abruptly stopped singing it, as you say, when they made such a huge thing about them going to hijack it and stuff like that, was quite amusing.
Yes. So on the second minute, Diamande was booked for basically putting a challenge in. Never a booking whatsoever. It was your typical referee putting a marker down. I know that Diamande can be quite rash at times, but for me that was never a booking. It was certainly a foul, but it was never a booking, and just as usual, referees playing funny buggers, and that basically ruled him out for the full half, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And see, to be fair to Diamande, Derek, he's got his critics. He can blow hot and cold, but over the piece, he usually does have a good game against them. He's had more better games against Celtic than he has poor games, and I thought it was a good call to bring him in for the start. But as you say, he was walking a tightrope for there, and it definitely affected him.
Yep. 5th minute, a break for Chermiti. Hits a shot but sclaffed high and wide while he was under pressure. 6th minute, a good break. Chermiti has a shot, hits off the arm of the defender. The referee gives nothing. A VAR check and it gives nothing as well. At the time, on real time, I was screaming for it. I thought it was a clear penalty. On the VAR check and the replays, his arm was tucked in and it would have hit his body if it would never hit his arm. So for me, Dave, it wasn't a penalty. What did you think of that?
No, I was the same. But again, we spoke about the last game when it came to the handball, so I really don't know anymore. That's the thing. And if the referee had awarded a penalty, great. But yeah, if it had been the other side, would have been saying it's harsh. But there isn't any clear rules as to what they're supposed to be, but we don't seem to see them. So it could have went at that either way, let's be honest.
Yeah. 20th minute, a break from a long kick up from Butland. A header by Chermiti knocked it on to Nadiri, who took it on a run. He was by himself and he lost the ball after getting crowded out by 3 defenders. 21st minute, Romans robbed the ball from the defender at the touchline in the box, cuts the ball back to Chermiti. He had a shot but it was blocked. Another shot by Moore but it was blocked and then cleared. Between the 27th and 29th minute, Celtic had a wee bit of pressure, resulting in a couple of corners, but came to nothing. 31st minute, Butland was dallying on the ball in the box and he nearly lost out to Maeda there. That's always the worry with Butland. He can drop his concentration at times and do something stupid like that, but fortunately we got away with that one there. 35th minute, Celtic had the ball in the net, but it was ruled out for offside after a VAR check. There was a corner from the right to the middle, knocked away again to the right side, played back in. Scales, whose trailing leg looked offside, headed the ball to the back post, and Maeda with a diving header from close range. There was no defenders marking, he managed to get goal side. However, the VAR check did show that Scales' trailing leg was ruled offside. In 43rd minute, to round out the half, a break down the right, a cross in, and a flick from Chermiti just over the bar. So that's how the half ended out. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was certainly all us, but we had no clear-cut chances really, and we had no cutting edge, which was the disappointing thing. That was the big difference between last week and this week, where when we had the pressure, we made it count with the 2 goals. We weren't doing that this time. Into the second half, Diamande came off, Chukwueze came on. Obviously, that was due to the ineffectiveness of Diamande. 48th minute, we get a break with no Celtic defenders, 1v1 with Chermiti, but Celtic keeper done well, coming out his box, clearing before Chermiti gets the ball. 51st minute, a good break down the left with Moore getting into the box and a shot blocked for a corner. 53rd minute, corner in from the right, header by Fernandes, hits off Chermiti to clear it off the line, falls to the back post again, and another again effectively cleared off the line by the Celtic defender. 66th minute, another disappointing performance from Skov Olsen. He came off and Gassama came on. 69th minute, a good move with Raskin being strong and robbing the ball, fed it to Chermiti on the right hand side of goal. He switched his feet and the shot was blocked. He should have just taken it time on his weaker feet and it might have been actually a good chance at goal. Once again, decision making. 77th minute, Moore off and Barami on. 81st minute, Chukwueze with a shot on the turn from distance, but it went well over the bar. 86th minute, a corner in from the right, Raskin with a header and effectively cleared off the line again. 91st minute, last piece of play in the second half, lovely break from our box to the Celtic box, ending in Chermiti about to shoot, blocked in the box. And we just again delayed shooting, and that's what it was there. Into extra time, which we really didn't want, did we?
No, we didn't. I kind of felt, even although he wasn't as effective as he'd been in the previous game, I thought as soon as Moore came off, I thought this is now going to be an even bigger slog, because although he had been quiet, there was like the odd time that he was getting free and was going to be a major danger. I think that let Celtic off the hook big time. At that stage, I realised that it was going into extra time, but it still, I think, was going to be our best chance at carving out an opportunity. So I had a bad feeling at that stage that it was maybe going to be a bigger slog, and it certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly all us again in the full of extra time. We should have really had it, but we just couldn't get the ball over the line. 90th minute before the extra time kicked off, Sterling came off and Tavernier came on. Sterling was already on a booking for that one there. 99th minute, the ball lobbed over the top from right to left. Chermiti controls it and shoots, but a poor shot and blocked and out for the corner. And in the 100th minute, this time it was our turn to put the ball in the back of the net. However, this time it was ruled out for handball. It was a corner from the left, Fernandes with a header. The ball seemed to be blocked, fell on the line, and Chermiti was falling with his outstretched hand, and he's clearly put it over the line. For some reason, he celebrated like it was going to count, but it was VAR checked and ruled out.
Yeah.
I know you sent me a video where the keeper did have a hold of Chermiti's other arm, but to me, I mean, that was inconsequential. I think we're clutching at straws at that one, Dave. I know you might think differently there.
No, I just, Derek, the way that the decisions have gone against us recently, you've got to say if that had been up the other end, would have been a different decision that had been made, quite possibly. So I am clutching at straws just now because we've had so many fucking terrible decisions have gone against us that you're too right. I'm going to shout for absolutely everything that comes our way.
102nd minute, Romans off, Megoma on. 104th minute, a lovely cross from Tavernier from the right. Chermiti first times it and just wide of the left post. That's the closest we came, really, all game. 105th minute, but Barami with a shot, but it was right at the keeper. So into the second half, really not a lot happened other than Jigger came off and Suter came on, and I text you at the same time, Dave. Holy fuck is what I said. And I think my fears were ultimately founded because he gave the ball away several times and created chances for Celtic. On the 112th minute, Suter gives the ball away with no cover, forcing Butland to charge out and clear it. That was nearly a clear-cut chance for Celtic there if it wasn't for Butland. Really nothing else happened in the second half of extra time. It was still all us, but we were creating absolutely nothing. Then it went into penalties and you just knew how it was going. And it went that way straight away because up steps Tavernier, he hits the bar with a poor penalty. Oxlade-Chamberlain scores, Barami scores, Trusty scores, Nadiri scores, Hitati scores, Gassama misses, he skies it over the bar, and Celtic score to make it 4-2 on penalties. The thing is, Dave, about the penalties, none of our players looked confident. The two we did score were quite lucky because the keeper dived the right way and it went just under him for the first one, and he got a hand to it for the second one, and Celtic's were really good penalties as well. So absolutely abysmal all round there. Just typical Rangers. We can be the better team, but we've not got that cutting edge up front, and that's been one of the stories of our season. We've had a woeful defence for a good part of it. We've shored that up, and then it's just we then started to score a good load, and then we just resolved back into the usual crap up front again by not creating chances or not creating clear-cut chances, hesitating every time we want to shoot. It's poor, Dave.
It was, and I just think that some of the substitutions as well were poor. I actually thought that Jigger had a really good game, to be fair, but I realise he's just back from injury. Maybe that was his thinking about bringing Suter on for extra time. I actually felt that in the first half, although Sterling looked really solid and athletic, defensively wise, we don't get anything from him as an outball, especially when we are in the ascendancy. I was actually thinking about why not try something different and bring on Tav and play him in front of Sterling, because we didn't really have anything. We had Gassama to come on and play on the right, and he's not a right winger. He literally does nothing for us playing on the right-hand side. If we want anything from Gassama, he's got to play on the left-hand side. I just felt that a lot of the substitutions could have been different. The likes of Barami again getting brought on and getting played on the wing when he's an attacking midfielder, stuff like that might have changed, but it wasn't to be. And like I said, as soon as Moore went off, I just had this horrible feeling that we weren't going to score. And as you say, as soon as it went to penalties, we just knew Celtic were going to win, regardless how good Jack Butland is at saving penalties. He never got near any of the ones that Celtic put in, and you hit the nail on the head there 100%. We did not look confident at all when we stepped up to take the penalties. So, yeah, it was just a poor show all round. One thing that I do want to say, Derek, about the game before we get into everything else, I hate having to respond to Celtic supporters. I do. I know that you quite enjoy doing it, some of the idiotic things that they say. I hate getting dragged down to their level. I've seen all of this about the amount of players that Celtic had missing, amount of key players that they had missing. I would just like to say that if Celtic hadn't have had all these players missing, because Celtic, it was backs against the wall the whole game. They never had a single shot on target against us in 90 minutes and into extra time. None. I've never known that before. They've obviously won this game on penalties. That's fair enough. But we've been getting slated for saying getting beat by Celtic, B team or whatever. I'd just like to say, if all 80 Celtics players had been playing, it would have been a completely different game, and they wouldn't have been so defensive. So there would have been more chances created for both teams, I would like to say, but it would have been a completely different game, and anything again could have happened. So I'm not taking that absolute nonsense of you were playing against the worst team, because they basically just put all their players behind the ball and defended for their lives. That's how they done it. Unfortunately, we were really poor attacking, and we made it a lot easier for them than it should have been.
It's no that they make a lot of this thing about we've spent 50 million or 40 million pound this year. Yeah, because we had to build a team from scratch again, and that's the whole point. And we've spent exorbitant amount on a couple of players as well, which we probably shouldn't have. But aye, it's absolutely nonsense, this B team thing that they were coming away with. I mean, their B team should be more than enough to match us, and that's the thing. They seem to forget the amount of injuries we had over the past 2 or 3 years. Well, if you want to use that excuse, we had as many injuries, if not more. We had last season a full 11 out, never mind 7 or 8 players, a full 11 out. So absolutely nonsense from them. Just going back to us though, Dave, I think this game especially highlights two things. It highlights a clear mentality issue with the players. When you're not confident enough to go up and step and take a penalty, I know it's penalties, they can be difficult, the pressure's on, but this, as well as I think there's a lack of quality in the team, and that's down to the recruitment. Absolutely, we've spent the money and we've not signed the right players to play the right way with the right qualities that you need for the Scottish leagues. So that's on us, absolutely. But I think that highlights two things: the quality of the team and the mentality, which Rule's been asked about several times now, and he's always batted the mentality thing away. He's kind of got to do that, I think, but I think it's clear for everyone to see that there is a mentality thing in this squad now, that they're just not winners. They don't know how to get a game over the line. We've seen that several times now. If they were a winning mentality team, you would be able to play 20 minutes with your opposition at 10 men and see a game out. We can't do that quite clearly, Dave. But we'll get into the aftermath of it now, because it's obviously dominated the headlines. It's been absolutely atrocious once again, the amount of pish we've had to put up with on this one, because we're getting blamed for everything as usual. The aftermath. Now, before even that started, before the game, there was graffiti and stickers all over police vehicles from the Celtic end. Celtic fans were trying to break through a police cordon during their escort. There was a potential broken wall as well, which I don't know what's happened there, because there was the barriers up at that end. So I don't know if it's been Celtic fans, our fans, or what, but I don't know what the police and security were playing at for a wall to be broken. Next, ticketless fans from Celtic breaking through disabled doors, injuring staff. Just incredible. Now, I know that it happens just about every single Celtic away game. It always happens. For the fact that that wasn't dealt with by the police is incredible. Bear in mind, from the pictures, there were about 3 separate points where Celtic fans were checked for both security and tickets. So there's no way ticketless fans should have even got to the stadium, which is incredible. Now, getting into the stadium, there was graffiti everywhere in the Broomland stand, all in the turnstile area, in the tunnel area, all in the stadium. Vile shit about the 66 innocent people that died at a football game. I'll say that again, about the 66 innocent people that died at a football game. You would never see fans of any other club do that about the Hillsborough disaster, would you? So why does the media especially seem to think that's perfectly acceptable? Bearing in mind, a Celtic fan got arrested for the game last week for holding up a phone saying 66 and mocking them as well. Aberdeen fans, St Mirren fans, Motherwell fans have all been arrested in the last 6 months for doing the exact same thing. Why is it not getting condemned in the media? Celtic fans put stickers everywhere. There was broken seats and other damage. There was pro-IRA singing. That's just getting before the penalties happened, Dave. So what's your thoughts on all of that?
It's quite incredible how we saw the amount of fans that actually were able to gain access to the stadium unlawfully by using brute force to break through. That should have been alarm bells ringing for the police at that stage, that had happened, that there were a number of fans inside that stand who didn't have tickets. That should have been a major issue at that stage. But as you say, that went, so they were all there. The whole graffiti and the damage and everything that was caused, absolutely shocking. We've seen it before. It's happened before. But as you say, Derek, the whole thing about them mocking the Ibrox disaster, there's no other club in the world that had a tragedy or a disaster like that would have this en masse by opposition supporters. There's no, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what team it is. There is no other set of supporters that could get away with doing something like that. It's absolutely vile. It's sick. I know there's a lot of banter and hatred that go between both sets of supporters. A lot of it is whataboutery, isn't it? It's just like, he said this, I'll say that. But that is just pure evil, pure. It's unbelievable. And as you say, and it's constant at the moment as well. And for our stand to be absolutely littered with that is just a complete and utter disgrace. And there's no one who spoke out from Celtic with regards to it, and as you say, the media have just, it's as if it never happened.
And I've seen people Celtic fans trying to equate this to songs that we sing as well, about Up to Your Knees and the Famine Song. Now, the Famine Song has never been sung in Ibrox for years, as far as I'm aware. So where they're coming away with this Famine Song thing from the weekend is, I have no idea. They make things up in their own mind. And here's the thing. And I know that it gets classed as hate crime and all that, but what we're talking about here is Up to Your Knees, and it's a symbolism. It's not really meant at all. Whereas you're mocking people that died. You're mocking kids that died. They went to a fucking football game and never came home. What kind of utter fucking scumbag do you need to be to mock that kind of thing, Dave? It is just beyond comprehension. It really, really is. I really don't get that they try and equate the same things to mocking 66 people that died. It really just beyond the pale, Dave.
It's a direct insult to our club, our supporters, directly at the club. I'm not condoning songs getting sung by our set of fans that upset people and all that. I'm not getting into that, Derek, because I don't think it is the same thing. Genuinely, as you said, it's the fact that nobody for the media highlights it. Nobody from their side highlights it. There doesn't seem to be any punishment going against it, and it's just absolutely deplorable.
Just the last bit about songs as well. Now, obviously, that songs get sung about, the child abuse, and we're not mocking the child abuse at all. We're calling out Celtic fans for the fact that they just hide behind things. They're more outraged the fact that we're singing it rather than the fact that it went on at their club and their club hid it. Yep. They seem to think that when we have a go at Big Jock New, oh, but Big Jock was on the park helping out at the Ibrox disaster. They seem to think that justifies what Jockstein did or did not know. It's just absolutely bizarre behaviour from them. On to the next thing here. Now, it was penalties. You could see the Celtic fans gearing up to run on. It was not spontaneous, as what the authorities kind of tried to intimate. Celtic fans ran onto the park when that last goal went in. In the process, they damaged the LED advertising. They damaged the netting. They were swinging on the crossbar. One of their players even was swinging on the crossbar. Their manager and players were happy to take selfies. Fans and players were goading our fans. There's clearly images of that there. A minute later, Not condoning this whatsoever. Our fans, predominantly from the Copeland stand, most of them were masked up, completely wrongly ran onto the park. Some to confront, some just to get on the park as well. There were a couple of skirmishes with a Celtic fan being kicked. Rather stupidly, a Rangers fan attacked a Celtic staff member for some reason. Just absolutely stupidity. The guy should get the book thrown at him. And the best of it is, he's 47-year-old. He's been arrested apparently, and he's 47-year-old. That's just absolute nonsense. The next thing here, a flare was thrown by one Rangers fan into the Celtic stand. Just fucking idiocy once again. Why do that? That flare was end up thrown back, and it hit off someone. It hit off a Rangers fan, it looks like, as well. So then after that, order was eventually restored. Firstly, the fans that ran on, just why? And I kind of said it there. As much as we call Rangers our house, it's not your property. It's not your remit to defend it. It just now puts the focus on our club, and we get lumped in with the blame instead of the focus being on Celtic fans and their behaviour, which has been completely forgotten about, Dave, and it's allowed the narrative to spin. It's silly wee arseholes looking for a fight. Why do it? You've just now put the focus on our club. See if you just never ran on the park, because you're not defending anything here. If you never ran on the park, all it would have been is Celtic fans, their behaviour getting focused on. Now we're getting focused on, Dave. Stupidity.
It is. I agree with you 100%. There shouldn't have been any Rangers fans on the field whatsoever. What is really, really annoying myself, and I agree with you 100%, I'm not condoning the actions of any of the Rangers supporters. The guy that attacked the Celtic staff member, that guy should never be allowed back in. He needs to be charged. End of story. Absolutely shocking. All the wee guys for the Union Bears, if we're saying they're from the Union Bears, they all had their balaclavas on, which is ridiculous again. Running on the park and everything. Get that to fuck. They shouldn't have been anywhere near being on the park. Again, though, Derek, seeing what was unfolding up the other end, what were the security staff doing at that stage? Because as soon as all the Celtic fans burst onto the park, you just knew that this could incite problems, and the lack of the amount of stewards and police up the other end to try and stop anything like that happening, unbelievable. Martin O'Neill, 73-year-old man, in charge of Celtic, asked at the end of the game. Obviously, the narrative was going to be on the big bad Rangers supporters. We knew that straight away. But for a 73-year-old man to say, with regards to all the Celtic fans coming onto the park, that these things happen everywhere, for him to be celebrating with the supporters, taking selfies. This guy's got previous for this. I've sent this to you before. Remember that before when he was there, walking around all the stadium with Neil Lennon, winding up absolutely everybody. We talk about acting your age. 73-year-old man, this guy is. And he's been round the block, vastly experienced manager. He knew exactly what he was doing. He should have been the first one to say, the players, you're all young, I realise that you want to celebrate, but this could turn ugly, get everybody off as quickly as possible. But no, he's in the thick of it, Derek. He's the one that's, again, celebrating away, encouraging their players to stay out there, celebrating with all their supporters. I think that's absolutely shocking. There's nothing being said about that either, but I don't expect there will be from the media at all, the way that they portray him. I think that was really poor by him also. But the whole thing was a shambles. You're going to get into the whole thing with the security and the police and stuff like that. I get that. I just feel that there are lots of other bits here that everything could have been dealt with a lot more different, and we wouldn't have had half the bother that there has been. And as you say, it has been portrayed from them as being the big bad Rangers fans. I have been listening to a certain phone-in that happens. I'm not going to mention them, but again, their narrative also was the big bad Rangers fans. But I've got to say, there have been a number of Rangers supporters have phoned in to basically try and put the record straight to say, no, it was just as bad. They felt just as unsafe. There was a lot of bottles getting thrown into the West Enclosure at supporters, being threatened, being goaded, being challenged, everything like that for the Celtic fans. Apparently was absolutely horrific. Again, the media are not showing this, but to be fair to these supporters phoning in to try and put the record straight, that it was just as bad on the other side as well. is really good to show that it was sort of both sides. It wasn't just the big bad Rangers fans that were inciting all of this. It was just as bad on the other side as well.
I mean, the thing, Dave, is, see if it was the cup final, I could almost understand the reaction from Celtic fans, but it was a quarter final. And it's the fact that you're acting like that is just unreal. But this is now the thing. We're at the stage where we've criticised Rangers fans, and it's almost as if we have to be seen to be criticising our fans first before we have the right to have a go at the Celtic fans, and that's completely not right. Clearly, as I've highlighted, the Celtic fans were an absolute disgrace. Many of them were there not to support their team, but just to cause issues with this whole free Broomlawn pish. I mean, who the fuck do they think they are exactly? Now, the narrative has been spun, like you've said, it's all been Rangers fans that were the cause. Celtic fans claim that we were just celebrating and you can't take getting beaten and all that, which is why the full allocation was cut for us in the first place. No, it's because you act like this constantly and we were fed up with it. The one thing they wanted was the full allocation back. They moaned for it for so long. They put up feeble excuses about their own safety. Well, you got it back and you just fucked it for yourselves. You fucked it for us and you fucked it for yourselves. The bottom line is, if they don't run onto the park, Rangers fans don't come onto the park either. It's that simple. Now, on that note, Police Scotland, absolutely, we appreciate their resourcing issues at this type of matches cause. They have to pull officers in from everywhere. But they said it was up to the clubs to decide on the allocation. They approved the police numbers, knowing the allocation. They escorted the ultras to the stadium, and they allowed Celtic fans to get onto the pitch by not forming a cordon around the away fans during the penalties. You see it in every high profile or contentious game when it's a big rivalry game. After every goal, at half time, at full time, they come storming out and they surround the away fans to basically prevent pitch encroachment. It's normally at least a bank or two stewards and police, whatever you want to call them. The comments from senior ranking officer the day after the game was summed up in 3 phrases, which she said: the number of away fans was not workable currently, I am satisfied with the police in operation, and there were enough police officers. 3 completely contradictory statements from her, and one of them is completely false, because during an Old Firm game at Hampden there are 25,000 fans each, and they manage that. So how can you come away and say with the number of away fans is currently not workable? That's absolute nonsense. The Chief Constable came out the day after then slamming clubs for not coming out and condemning the actions of the fans. Well, who's going to come out and condemn the lack of actions of the match commander in this one here for not doing the job properly? After that, the Fans Advisory Board and the Rangers Supporters Association issued a joint statement hitting out at Police Scotland. It was very well worded and stayed away from criticising our own fans, which I can understand, as ultimately our own behaviour was a result of the inaction by the police in this year. A Celtic group came out and criticised the police. They also didn't criticise their own fans. However, their behaviour throughout, as I've highlighted, was nothing to do with the police. It was all to do with them. So they've got an absolute cheek. So I'm not surprised at that, though. There was 9 arrests in total, with more likely to come. There was a further 3 arrests were made after a fight outside a Celtic supporters bus, which, honestly, Dave, I don't know if you've seen the video, but it was disgraceful. I don't care how it started, but you don't kick someone's head while they're down and out cold to begin with. It was deplorable, Dave. It really was. Now, today the SFA have came out with a statement saying that the Scottish FA can confirm that the compliance officer, Dave, did you know we still had a compliance officer, is collating evidence from the weekend's derby match at Ibrox Stadium. Any alleged breaches will be notified to the relevant parties in line with the judicial panel protocol. Furthermore, following discussions with the relevant stakeholders, the SFA will commission an independent review of matchday safety and security operations for the Scottish Gas Cup quarter-final fixture. This review will seek to provide recommendations for all parties to ensure no repeat of the events that have tarnished the image and the reputation of the game. So, Dave, compliance officer, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be a slap in the wrist for each team. Probably they'll come down harder on Rangers because it was at Ibrox.
Yeah.
It should have been our deal to deal with. I mean, there's this narrative that's came out from Celtic fans that this is Rangers. We've never had enough police in the stadium because Rangers are cutting costs, so we reduced the amount of policing in the stadium. Rangers and football clubs don't dictate how many police officers. It's a joint operation between the SFA, the club, and the police. and then there's a determination of how many. So it's not the club that actually make that determination, Dave. So they're just trying to deflect away the blame once again, Dave. It's typical.
Yep.
Now, just tonight, Rangers have came out with a very, very good statement, and I'll read it out here. The disorder that occurred on Sunday was unacceptable and we condemn it unequivocally. Safety must always come first in football for supporters, players and everyone working in and around the game. We also want to recognise the efforts of many staff, stewards and emergency services who operated in extremely difficult circumstances on the day. There are now a number of serious issues which require proper examination. For that reason, we agree that there should be a fully independent review into the events surrounding the match. The review must be thorough and wide-ranging, examining the decisions and actions of all relevant parties. Its scope must include the broader context around this fixture, from the initial decision on ticket allocations through to the sequence of incidents that followed the match. All parties must be prepared to have their actions and decision making subject to proper scrutiny. Where individuals are identified and convicted of offences connected to the match, the club will take action and impose appropriate sanctions, including the potential withdrawal of ticket privileges and stadium bans. We will approach all regulatory engagement responsibly and cooperate fully with the authorities as the facts are established. At the same time, we will represent the club and our supporters robustly. We recognise that many fans want the club to say more at this stage, and supporters should be assured that we are across the detail of the issues being discussed and the questions being raised. However, it is important that we respect any ongoing investigative or judicial process and do nothing that could prejudice them. There will be an appropriate time to address these matters fully. We can say now that the issues of stadium safety and the legacy of Ibrox disaster are deeply personal to this club. We are appalled to discover graffiti within the stadium referencing that tragedy. The memory of the 66 supporters who lost their lives in January 1971 deserves dignity and respect. To desecrate their memory is vile, it is cowardly, it is shameful. This is not football rivalry and it's not banter. This is abuse of a tragedy that claims 66 lives. Finally, it is important that the reputation of Rangers supporters is treated fairly in this discussion. Tens of thousands of people attended Ibrox on Sunday simply to support their team with pride and to watch a football match. We will not accept a narrative that ignores the full context of what happened. Now it would not be appropriate to comment further. Dave, a spot on statement for the fact that it doesn't shy away from the issues we've got. It doesn't go into them in detail at all. It doesn't go really into anything detail apart from the graffiti. And it basically raises concerns over the fact that, is this really going to be a independent investigation, or is it going to be whitewashed and blame Rangers as ever? And it's basically putting the target firmly back on those that were to blame. As I said in the outline, Rangers fans would not have entered the pitch if Celtic fans never. That's because certain elements of security and the police never done their job properly.
Very, very well worded, Derek, and very carefully worded, I've got to say. For the first time in a long time, we've been sort of crying out for certain people to be called out. And, you know, I thought they defended our supporters very well. The way that they spoke out about the graffiti is absolutely spot on. They did the Minster words there. That's what we're looking for also. And as you say, they called out the fact that this independent review or whatever it's going to be, you know, happening here is going to be under major scrutiny from Rangers as well. So no, I thought it was very well worded and very carefully worded as well. So for a change, I was pleased with that.
Just to round this off here, some of the things that we're having to put up with here is that absolute KD Lang lookalike Fanny came out with some nonsense about singing, and then there's a reason why Jack Butland was wearing an all orange top, and it's to dehumanise Celtic and have a go at us and make us be enemies and all that. Of course, any team or any sets of fans that step into Ibrox are our enemies. That's what happens. It's called football. It's a rivalry. He's talking about Jack Butland and the colour of his fucking strip again. What an absolute nonsense. Apparently the colour orange is sectarian. That's what he's basically saying there. And also talking about dehumanising Celtic and their fans. What have we had to put up with for the last, since 2012? Calling us zombies every fucking minute of the day. It's absolute fucking stupidity from these arseholes as usual. Next absolute nonsense here is, so there's talk and evidence that it was Rangers supporters themselves that did most of the graffiti at Ibrox. Why would this not surprise me? Dave, I mean, here's another thing as well. Somebody's put up a video from the last time Celtic had a full allocation in the Broomlawn stand. It was overcrowded due to numerous forged tickets and fans doubling up at turnstiles. They attacked stewards and almost struck Westfothering with a flare. So there has been previous with this. As I said, Celtic fans are well known to double up and try and charge through turnstiles. Why wasn't this dealt with? Once again, the images about Celtic fans not running out of the park and not squaring up to Rangers and their fans. There's clear images I'm looking at right now, giving it all that to our fans. There's this thing about, oh, Celtic fans never made it to the halfway line. As if that's some sort of fucking demilitarised zone that Celtic fans didn't need to cross that to be violent.
Like I said not too long ago, the fans that have been commenting on the fact that they were all in the West enclosure, feeling exceptionally threatened by the Celtic fans, having bottles thrown at them, being threatened, being challenged. Doesn't need to be at the halfway line for things like that to happen when they're on the pitch, coming right up to other Rangers supporters in the West enclosure. So that puts that one to bed there at all. It's got absolutely nothing to do with position of Celtic fans and how far up the pitch they were. They were gearing at threats and everything like that at the side of the pitch as well to the Rangers supporters. So that goes for absolutely nothing, that comment.
Yeah. And this one here, and yeah, it shouldn't have happened in the reverse, but you can understand why it did. There's a video of a steward getting knocked out by a Rangers fan, or certainly assaulted, punched. However, there's clear video, that same steward, just less than a minute beforehand, he actually punched a Rangers fan. So this is the kind of shit we've got to put up with. Our stewards are, that's the responsibility of Rangers, are not blameless in this as well. So it's just absolutely, the whole thing is just so pissed me off, because once again it's big bad Rangers and nothing with Celtic is getting looked into. Hopefully, we can only hope that this review is going to be impartial. It's going to weed out the issues that we've been talking about for a long time and put an end to it. But this is the nonsense we've got to put up with Celtic fans all the time. They just think they're whiter than white, holier than thou. We can do no wrong. We're the best fans in the world. They've got fans banned from their stadium for a reason, Dave, and they can't see this. They just honestly can't see it, and it so frustrates me, because it's always big bad Rangers. And this is the first time in a long time, it's maybe been a couple of days too late, but we've stood up and defended us for a change. So we'll need to park it there and let's see what happens.
The last thing that I want to say on it, Derek, is I really couldn't give a shit what Celtic fans think of us and whatever. Of course, they're going to put all the blame on us. It's out with that. It's the official channels. It's the media. It's everything that portrays it all as being Rangers' fault. That is what gets me. And that's where I think that the statement that Rangers have put out has been very well worded. And we'll just have to wait and see. I'm hoping it's going to be an impartial review, but we're not going to hold our breath, Derek. Really, let's be honest.
No. So the games we've got to come is Sunday the 15th of March. It's away against St Mirren in the Premiership. That's a midday kickoff. Interestingly, their manager, Stephen Robinson, has just left to go to Aberdeen. I mean, that's kind of like jumping from the Titanic and getting rescued by the Costa Concordia. But next one here is Saturday the 21st of March. That's at home against Aberdeen in the Premiership. That's a 17:45 kickoff. So we'll be playing Stephen Robinson anyway. There won't be a post-match out for that one there, because I'll be watching that game in Milan. Saturday the 4th of April at home against Dundee United in the Premiership. That's a 1500 kickoff. And to round out the games before the split, Sunday the 12th of April, that's away against Falkirk in the Premiership. That's a midday kickoff as well. And then we've got the split, which the fixtures have still to be announced yet. So the league's not over yet, Dave, but we're going to ultimately need to win every remaining game, and that includes a game against Hearts, a game against Celtic at Parkhead, at Tynecastle, I believe. I think the game against Motherwell will be at Fir Park, so they're all difficult games. We need to empty the tank against every single team for the full 95 minutes, however long it is, but I don't see it happening, to be honest, Dave.
It's going to be tough, Derek. It's not the fact that we need to win every game. I genuinely think that Celtic and Hearts will drop points along the way, but it's just the fact that can really see us winning even 90% of the games remaining the way that we've been playing. It's going to be very, very difficult. I'm not going to rule anything out, but I do feel that the league game against Celtic at Ibrox was absolutely massive. If we would have won that, I would have been feeling much more confident. But for what happened there, it's going to be difficult. We just have to hope that we can get our act together, go on a run, because they're not up to much. And I still think that Hearts are prone to maybe dropping points to certain teams, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, let's see. So we'll now go into the news. So a few bits and pieces to cover as always. A few weeks ago, Parag Marath has stepped down as Vice Chair, and Director Jean Schneer, I think that's how you pronounce it, has also stepped down. It kind of came out the blue, it was unexpected, however it's all been due to potential issues with their involvement in Leeds and European competitions. With the way UEFA dealt with Crystal Palace this season, I think they were even more separated with their other club. I think it was getting it out the way in good time so that it doesn't impact on us. Yep. Kavanagh seems to be running the show anyway, so I don't see it being a big issue. I don't know if we've replaced the director and Parag Marath, but thank you for your very brief service getting the deal over the line, and yeah, we'll wait and see how it turns out afterwards.
Yes.
Next thing, we have partnered up with Nestle as our official confectionery supplier. This is a change from Cadbury's for the last couple of years. As long as the money's good, it doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. It's another worldwide brand, which is always good for recognition around the world.
Yep, certainly is.
Yep. Next thing, long-term physio Steve Walker is leaving us at the end of the season and he's joining Hearts. He's been at the club for 23 years. Can't really have a go at a guy who has served us for 23 years. But with the amount of injuries we've had in that time, come on, you know.
Yeah, well, injuries to key players. Maybe this is a cunning ploy for the rest of the season, Derek, if he's going to Hearts. I don't know if it's with immediate effect that he's away there or not, but if it is, it could be a master stroke. But no, joking aside, the amount of service the guy has put in, we wish him all the best.
Yeah. And the last piece of news I've got here, so between planning issues being knocked back for us, they've been granted for Celtic, to renovations around the Parkhead area for the Commonwealth Games, there's always been suspicions of favouritism of Celtic by Glasgow City Council. This has been furthered after an FOI request revealing that the council have hired parts of Celtic Park 13 times since 2022, giving them over £120,000, whereas Ibrox has been used by Glasgow City Council 0 times, Dave. How can they justify that? SNP run Glasgow City Council are using Parkhead as their own plaything basically and giving them money for it, renovating it. We've had several issues with the SNP in the cabinet between Sturgeon, Rangers could have done more, between Willie Wanker, Hamza Youssef. How many times, how much more evidence do we need that the SNP especially are biased against Rangers?
And is there anything going to be said about, is this going to be getting raised? Is there going to be any kind of investigation into this? Or is there anything being said there?
Who knows, Dave, because it never gets... It's big bad Rangers, so they don't care.
Incredible.
But anyway, it's now time for Fesshole Corner.
Do you like Dick? No, I don't like the Dick, but I like Dick Advocate, you know what I mean?
Dad tried to have a fish tank in the living room for years, but they kept dying. I didn't want to miss any of my CITV after school by going upstairs to the toilet, so I directly pissed into the tank. I was more upset than him when he eventually gave it up and threw it all away.
Oh, dear.
A former girlfriend was into sex challenges. She challenged me to watch a Farage interview on TV while she gave me a blowjob. My fess is that later, whenever she suggested sex, I would quote Brexit lines from that interview as a joke. She eventually dumped me. I was visiting a farm and took a dump in the open-air outhouse. After the fact, I looked at my handiwork and discovered a foot-long turd sticking straight up out the midden like a poo javelin. I couldn't believe my eyes. That was 20 years ago. I still think about it almost daily. A poo javelin.
Oh, dear.
Have been suspended pending investigation at work for allegedly having sex in the office. I didn't have sex with anyone on the account of I'm a fat, antisocial 30-something and I'm trying to take solace in the fact that they think I could pull someone at least. In the late 90s, I phoned a local radio station whilst I was on the toilet. Halfway through giving my answer to their drive time quiz, I grunted and let out one loud one drop. Caused quite a controversy. I'm so annoyed I was a decade too early to be made internet famous over the debacle. That's a great one.
Oh, brilliant.
And to round it out here, my wife went on holiday with her friends and left me with a to-do list. I bought a robot vacuum cleaner to make things easy. I programmed it and it went to work. Came back to a dog with a bad stomach, made much worse by a robot dog poo painting roller machine.
Oh, superb.
On that note, we will end the podcast. So, our disappointing set of results there, really anger-inducing to be honest, and the fallout is just as bad. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens at the weekend with St Mirren and beyond. And yeah, well, let's wait and see how big bad Rangers fans caused all the issues at the game at the weekend as well.
Yes, I know. It's maybe a good thing that the vast majority of us not got great expectations of the up and coming games, Derek. Who knows? Maybe Rangers might surprise us. We'll just have to wait and see what team turns up.
Yeah. So on that note, all that's left to say is thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white, and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Fuck off, wanks.